Right, we're going to end this hour with a bit of breaking news.
So let's take a deeper look at exactly what Manchester United are getting in Ederson. We're going to show you is that he could be a very dynamic and versatile midfield option for Michael Carrick. Let's take a look at this and start by looking at his contributions both with and without the ball. Now, this graphic is made up of every Serie A midfielder who played more than 2,000 minutes in the league last season. What we're looking at exactly is how many passes a player completes per 90 minutes, that's on the vertical axis, and how many tackles a player makes per 90 minutes along the horizontal. So the higher the player is in the top right-hand corner of this graph, the more he does of both. And as you can see, Juventus's Manuel Locatelli is way out ahead of everyone else, a complete outlier over here. You can also see, though, that Ederson is a really strong performer as well. He's averaging just under 2.5 tackles per game and completing nearly 50 passes per game as well, which means he's very effective both with and without the ball. I'll take a look at this one as well. This graphic gives us a bit of an insight into the average position Atalanta players took up in the Champions League last season. As you can see, Ederson is predominantly taking up a position in the middle of the pitch on that left-hand side. And these dotted lines, if you can see them here and here, show the most common runs he makes. You can see that not only does he burst forward, he also tracks back to cover the centre of the pitch. And those darker circles show the players that he most often passes the ball to. So you can see that he clearly has a good connection with the players on the left side of the pitch, and he links up well with his centre midfield partner as well. And look at this one as well. This tells you everything. Here you can see the influence he has on the game all over the pitch. This is his touch map for Atalanta in the Champions League last season. As expected, there is a bit of cluster, or a few clusters over the left-hand side of the pitch. They're playing this way. Clearly, though, he's a player who physically wants to get all over the pitch, and he has the capabilities to get on the ball absolutely anywhere. Altogether, it builds a picture of United getting a very versatile midfielder. And let's now head to Rio to find out more on United's incoming Brazilian midfielder with Tim Vickery. Good to see you, Tim. You just heard our analysis there. Please tell me we got it right, because we worked quite hard on it.
No, I think that's terrific work. I mean, if you look at his heat map, Hannah, hotter than July, isn't it? If I can just hold my hand up here, a couple of years ago when Manuel Ugarte came in to that central midfield position, I thought he'd be a great fit for United. And that one clearly hasn't worked out, has it? And I think one of the reasons why, when he's a good player and Bielsa loves him for Uruguay, he's going to figure very much in the World Cup, is Ugarte. But one thing is, United, you need a little bit more on the ball about you, don't you, than Ugarte has brought. And I think that the strength of this Ederson move is that he gives you the ball-winning capacity of Ugarte, with much, much more as well, much, much more dynamism. And he is a midfielder in the plenitude of the word, in that he's going to do anything that you want him to do in that space, all over that space, doing a great deal all the time. He's the words I was going to come in with, but you stole them from me. Dynamic, versatile.
Oh, it's one mind. We're all on the same page. I mean, for those who haven't seen him in action then, who would you compare his style of play to?
I think there's quite a lot of Bruno Guimarães in him, and he's that type of midfielder. He's a little bit of everything. He's not a specialist in any one thing, and that gives Michael Carrick lots of lovely options, doesn't it, in the way that he wants to build his midfield. And I'm sure that United's flair players, the likes of his compatriot Matheus Cunha, for example, will be loving this, because all of that dynamism is going to help give a platform for those lads up front for United.
So we know he's versatile then, but what's actually his preferred position? Does he see himself as a 6 or an 8?
I think he just sees himself as a midfielder. I'm not particularly sure that distinction makes a great deal of difference to him. I think he'll do what's necessary between games, within games. And another thing, Hannah, that I really like about him, and I think is really important with United, strong personality. I mean, the first time that I saw him, his first real serious professional football in Brazil was with Cruzeiro. Now, that's a big, big club. And they just won everything. But they were sinking in financial debts and off-the-field scandals. And they went down 2019. So he's thrown into this big side that in a relegation battle where they weren't successful. And he stood out. It's the kind of situation that can kill a young career You know, you throw in a youngster to a side that's sinking, but he really, really stood out. And had they been able to clone him, then they wouldn't have gone down. And I think that kind of strength of personality, I think that's really important. We've seen so many really good players not do the business at the United because it's a heavy shirt. But I think he's shown, especially in adversity, in that first gig he had there with Cruzeiro, he's shown that shirt's not going to be too heavy for him.
Do you see him being a squad player at United?
No, I see him being more than that. So, I mean, obviously, with the return of European football there at United, there's going to be some rotation, but I certainly don't see him as a squad player. I've seen some online stuff being a little bit down on it, that, you know, this isn't a huge name. Well, probably the only reason it's not a huge name is that maybe he spent too long at Atalanta. Fabulous club to play your football, and you know, it was 2 years ago that he was a key part of the side that won the Europa League. But I wonder, from the position of the development of his own career, if he thinks that maybe he should have been a little bit more ruthless and moved on earlier. It certainly would have helped his World Cup chances, Hannah.
Well, on that World Cup chances and that side of things, he made the initial Brazil squad, but he won't be travelling to the US, Mexico and Canada for the tournament. So why exactly is that?
Well, there's a lot of competition, and also, and he played for 3 clubs while he was in Brazil in the first division, but without a particularly high profile. And he left very early, and he's been with, you know, even though Atlanta punch above their weight, he's been with relatively small clubs. He was called into the squad under the coach before Ancelotti a couple of years ago for the Copa America. And he got on the field a couple of times. But he's competing with players with a higher profile. And he was competing then with João Gomes of Wolves. Now, João Gomes has a profile over here in Brazil. He won our Champions League, the Libertadores, with Flamengo. Another one he was competing with, André, also of Wolves. He won our Champions League, the Libertadores, with Fluminense. These players have profiles, and that really makes a difference. Just as an aside, it shows you what an extraordinary story it is that Igor Thiago has broken in to the Brazil squad for the World Cup without playing first division football in Brazil and playing for Brentford. That really is an extraordinary story. That is climbing Everest the hard way. But it is difficult if you haven't got a big constituency in the press pushing for your inclusion. Maybe had this move happened a couple of years ago, maybe he would have, the higher profile would have got him in. And moving to United, even last year with United not having not having European football, it did wonders for Matheus Cunha with Brazil. Well, Ederson is coming up 27, and I'm sure he'll think that he's got at least one more World Cup cycle left in him, so he can make up for that in 2030. But in order to do that, he now has to do the business with United. He has a big club. That gives him a completely different platform. So this is a move in his career, which I think is make or break.
Well, with that in mind then, what is the current perception of Ederson in Brazil? Is he flying under the radar a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Exactly because of that. Exactly because his brief experience here, he wasn't there playing for clubs that were competing for titles, and he moved early and he's gone to smaller clubs. Brazil produces so many players. It's just not possible for everyone to fly over the radar. But I'm telling you, going to United will do wonders for his profile, and it will give new opportunities for his international career as well.